Hi, and welcome to this edition of Wayne'sKitchen.com. Today we're at the lovely...
You're Wayne?
Yes.
And I'm Gordon?
This is Gordon. I was going to get to that, Gordon.
All right.
Anyway, we're here at the lovely Karen and Don Galanzowski's kitchen. They've just redone it. And
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful kitchen.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Love it.
So shepherd's pie comes from...
From Shepherd's?
Yeah, actually Shepherd's made it.
Oh.
And they used lamb back in the day.
Because they were shepherds and they were sheeping their
shepherding
their sheep.
Their sheep.
Right?
Yes.
That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
It does.
All right.
And so when the peasants in England and Ireland made it, they made it with beef. And they called it cottage pie because most of them lived in cottages back then. And it was the potatoes that were introduced into the UK were inexpensive, and so they could use them.
Does anybody still call it cottage pie, or is it mostly shepherd's pie? Because that's my sense of it.
Well, if you're using lamb, yes, it's shepherd's pie.
Okay, all right.
But we're using
ground beef
today.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be called shepherd's pie.
All right.
Because that's what we're making.
All right. Okay.
With beef. So now I'm going to turn it over to Gord, who's going to show us how to make this wonderful dish, and he's going to give a little history on where he got his recipe from as well. So Gord, take it away.
But first, though, I've always been a sous chef. I am learning from the maestro. You are Wayne's Kitchen, Wayne'sKitchen.com.
You're the .com then.
I am, but over all our viewers who watched our previous episodes, you could see like I could barely learn how to cook, but now I've actually kind of arrived, and that you too can become a good cook by watching Wayne'sKitchen.com, right?
Correct.
So tonight we are making a shepherd's pie. And Wayne gave a bit of a history about where it originated from, and so all of us have personal history. For me, as a Scot by background, I owe it all to my grandma, to Grandma Jane, who came from Scotland, and she used to serve us shepherd's pie all the time. But darn it all, I can't remember her recipe. So if there's a takeaway from today's menu, when you have a cold day like it is today and you want to have a hearty meal, a comfort food, you want to kind of remember those recipes that you got from your ancestors, from your grandparents, your parents, and make sure you write it down so you can pass it on. And that's what we're going to do today.
And this recipe is going to be put up on the website as well, so you can vary it if you want to. In fact, you probably will, because it's not exactly the same as you made it. So, Gord, where do we start? All
right, so you'll see from our very simple ingredients, we're going to make a shepherd's pie, ground beef. So Wayne had talked about you could use lamb, but we're using ground beef. But it's basically a lot of vegetables: potato, onion, carrot. Then you can have some egg, some cheese, Parmesan cheese. As far as spices, smell this, Wayne. Tell me what that is.
What time is it?
That's right. So what time is it? And that's with an H. And then there's a great song. I won't sing it, but it's got rosemary. So some great spices that just kind of makes the meat come alive. And we're going to do all this today on this episode of Wayne'sKitchen.com from Karen and Don Galanzowski's house. Go. All right, so on this, we will need some spices for our filling. And so one of the things that I wanted to show us, we have the thyme and the rosemary. One thing I learned, and I thought I would ask the maestro here, is that with this fresh thyme, I just kind of used my fingers and I just kind of pulled it along here, try not to break the stem. So you may have noticed the blooper there, because in that first take, I was actually pulling the thyme stem off the wrong way, but I'm learned a trick just right now from both my wife, who's in the studio audience, along with Karen and Dawn at their house. And Wayne, this is what you would do. You pull it opposite and just pull the thyme off the branch, and there you go. And doesn't that smell wonderful?
It does.
All right. Okay, and then the same with the rosemary. The rosemary is a little thicker, so it's easier to pull it off, but probably the same technique. And then what you need to do after that is you need to cut it up, because it's just too big of a stem. I mean, I'm sure it's a wonderful herb, but you don't want to have a big chunk right in your teeth.
No, and sage or rosemary is a very, very strong
It
herb
is.
as well, so you don't really want to use a lot of it because it's
Right.
overpowering.
Well, and that's the truth with any spice, right? It's to augment, to accentuate the meal, not to overpower. Okay,
Correct.
so we have our thyme and our rosemary, and then we'll have garlic as well,
And I'll cut up the potatoes.
right?
I'll quarter them and we'll boil them in salt water.
That's it. Very simple. Easy peasy, and you can learn all this on Wayne'sKitchen.com. Okay, so Wayne, you got the potatoes on.
Potatoes
so,
are done, they're boiling.
So while they're boiling, we're going to start our mash. We're going to add a little bit of oil to our heated skillet, and then we're going to add our chopped onion, and we'll get that in the pan right away. Try not to get onto Wayne, Dawn, and Karen's nice stove. So that's going. And then we're going to add in our diced carrot. Now, some recipes call for where you can actually dice it up or shred it up. So it doesn't matter. Again, it's a shepherd's pie. You can do any kind of thing that you want. So while that's going, we'll add a little bit of salt, of course. Sorry, Wayne taught me that. Yes, sir?
Take the cap off, now do it.
Had a cap on, that's not fair.
So you can see I'm still learning, right? All right, so this is going, and then we'll come back on our next shot. Oh,
Oh, now that's
This thing?
Italian pepper thing.
now that's not a knife.
Other way, lad. There you go. Oh, you're just playing with me now.
How's that?
Yeah, that's,
Very good.
That's really good. Here's
Good.
a cap for you.
I got thrown off by that size.
Did you?
of thing.
That was funny
Yes.
though.
All right.
I laughed.
So this is going to go. We want your onion to get translucent. It's going to soften the carrot. And so while that's going, we'll be prepared to add the meat. We'll do that in a minute. All right, so we got our onion and our carrot going, and doesn't that smell nice, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Smells great.
Talk about comfort food. That's part of it too, is the aroma. So now we're going to add our ground beef. And somebody asked me in the studio audience, do I have extra lean? I use lean just because with the shepherd's pie, you don't want it to become dried out, like where it almost kind of takes on like a tortilla. So you want to actually get this thing really, so I don't want it to be, you don't want it to be, dripping, but we will mind to see if there's any kind of excess grease. We're going to stir this up.
So you want it moist.
Moist, exactly. Okay, and then we can add some of our other spices. We have some of our garlic here. Wayne, would you mind throwing that in there?
Not at all.
Okay, so a little bit of garlic.
How many cloves was that, Gord? 2?
Think about 3.
3 cloves?
Yeah, 3 cloves. So again, like as we talked about earlier, you don't want to overpower with anything. Okay, so this is going. And then once that browns up a little bit, then we're going to add some of our other spices, which, as you recall, was the thyme and the rosemary. And then at one point, we'll be adding, I forgot to mention earlier in our episode, we're going to add frozen peas. Now,
Oh.
some shepherd's pies call for corn, corn and peas. You can use it without. My wife is not a big fan of peas, but I found if you use frozen peas, it doesn't get too mushy. So it's all about preference. And if you're a shepherd and you have nothing else to eat, you throw it in that works, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what works? I love your tartan tie.
Thank you very
What,
much.
what clan is that?
Royal Stewart.
Royal Stewart. Oh, you're Irish. You're Irish there.
Don't start.
Don't be starting me now. All right. All right. So we'll pick it up in a minute. Okay, so now the meat is nice and brown. We got it mixed in with the onion and with the carrot. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our tomato paste.
Tomato paste.
Yeah, a little bit of tomato paste.
That's an interesting recipe.
And then we're going to add in our spices.
So how much of that spice you putting in? Like,
Well, just, as they say in Italy, quanto basta. Just enough, right? So that was the thyme and then some of the rosemary. You get a nice color in there. You don't want to, again, overpower it. And then a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Just a glub or two. How's that? Sounds good? All right, and then we're going to stir that up. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was the peas. So at this point, we're going to add in some green peas. So this is going to really give it some nice color, right? Okay, see how that is? That goes. We had a comment from the studio audience.
The frozen.
Frozen peas, right? So again, we don't want it too mushy, right? And I found that this actually works quite well. I think we can add a little bit more there, Wayne. That means, oh, Wayne wants lots in there, right? Okay, very good. And we're going to add a bit of red wine in a second. Wait till that gets stirred in.
It's sounding more Italian every time that I get near this thing.
That's why you got to stick to your Scottish accent.
Again, don't go there.
Right. Now, where did my wine go? Right over here. So add a little bit of red wine. Just a little bit.
Was that out of your drinking cup?
No, it wasn't. That was a specially measured cup.
Oh, it's got lip prints on it, Gord.
No, I don't wear lipstick, Wayne. How's that going? Okay, so that's stirring. So that
It's going swimmingly well.
so you can see there's basically that's the mash. That's your main ingredient. Very nice.
Oh,
Hot.
Lovely.
Very good.
Great.
Oh, that is hot.
okay. So I saw you pull out some of this. What is this?
That is your chicken stock, but we're gonna just wait another minute.
Chicken stock
Yes.
in a beef dish.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so then you asked a really good question, and I didn't know the answer to that. In fact, I felt like totally inadequate, and that's why I know my place. I'm still like the learner
Yeah,
with
but
the maestro.
you should have shot back and said, "It's my recipe. I'll do what I want with
Well,
it."
that's the thing. Like, Grandma didn't write it down, so you have to make sure you write it down. So
I'm sorry, Gord.
Some call for adding a chicken stock to a beef recipe. So, what's the advantages and disadvantages to that?
It's all about the flavor, Gord.
And so, what would you think would be the flavor then? So, we're going to add that now.
It's going to taste like chicken and beef.
Okay, and so we're going to let that kind
The
of.
chicken and the beef are gonna make it into a lamb flavor.
Oh, that would be so. I don't like lamb. That's why we're using beef.
Beef, right. All right. So, how's our potatoes doing?
Hot.
Okay.
They're boiling.
All right, so we'll be back as we prepare the final dish and get it ready to go into the oven and in time for the kickoff for Super Bowl. All right, Wayne, so we now have our potatoes. They are all boiled down.
Take that for you.
And we have our mash is ready. So now what we're going to do is add 2 tablespoons of butter to our potatoes.
Hey, did you know that before they introduced potatoes in the UK, they used to make the whole thing with pastry?
Really?
Yeah, I think that's probably why the beef Wellington had pastry around it.
Oh, interesting.
So they just added the pastry to this and make the shepherd's pie. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a ladle or something I could stir this with. Like
Oh, how about that?
Okay, that'll work. And then we're going to also add a 1/4 cup of cream. That's just to give it a little bit of flavor. And some egg yolk, 2 egg yolk. So that's there. And we will add some cheese, but we'll wait a minute after we mix it up a little bit. Okay. If I can get this thing working here.
Put it on a higher speed, maybe. Okay.
Oh. There we go. So we want this nice and creamy, but not too. So a lot of potato here because you want a nice top on your shepherd's pie. We may not use all of this, but better to have more than not enough.
Something else you need to know.
What's that?
If you were to add breadcrumbs to the top of your potatoes, what before you bake it, it turns into a Cumberland pie.
Oh, okay.
Just-
all these things that you can learn.
All these fun facts, yeah.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to also add some Parmesan cheese. And we're going to put some on top, so that's going to give this a lot of nice flavor. Okay, we're almost ready here. Just a couple more. Does that look nice, Wayne?
Yes, Gord, it does.
All right. It's a good thing we have a dog here. Sadie's part of the studio audience and serves as the cleanup artist here. So I think that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. And,
That looks just fine.
okay. All right. And we'll show that to our viewer here. Okay.
Oh, okay, hot.
Very
Wow,
good.
great.
Okay. So we've done our mixture, we got our mash, and now we just put the two together. So the first thing that you do is you just take your mixture here and just layer the bottom of your pan. You can, if you use a ladle that you can leave off some extra moisture if you don't need it. Okay. Very hearty. You can see that nice color there, right? Everybody agree? On a cold day like this, having a nice,
Great.
yeah, easy peasy. All right. So while I'm doing that, Wayne is going to get out the potato because he's the expert at this part. So you just kind of have a bottom like that, and I'll turn it over to you, Maestro.
Thank you. So I'm just going to firm it down a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. And why do you do that?
So it doesn't flick back up when you put the potatoes on.
Oh, okay. I wonder if my grandma knew how to do that.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yeah. Because like a lot of times in cooking, it's just trial and error. You kind of make a mental note that maybe the next time I do something, I'll add that little trick to it. So now we put our potato on top,
And just gently push
layer
it.
it down.
Yeah,
right?
push it around. Yeah. So it's very simple.
See? Oh, and that's a very good idea because the first time I did the shepherd's pie, I didn't press it down and that was kind of starting to come up.
Ah,
Very good. So you can imagine yourself, you're back on the moors in Scotland or England or Ireland and your cold day and your TV's not picking up the Super Bowl. There's some Seahawk fans here in the Galanzowski's house. That's right, and I forgot to show the studio audience. My team didn't quite make it. However, I still made sure that I brought the appropriate insignia. So if you kind of notice here, maybe next year. All right, okay.
Yay, go.
Yes. All right, and then now notice how Wayne's kind of giving it a nice peak look. Just use a fork for that as well. But I don't really need to do that. I think it looks really good. Good.
I've made this once or twice.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I think that looks really good. Yeah. And then we're gonna add a little layer of cheese on top. Now again, this is very optional. Not everybody wants to do that, but it just gives it that nice hearty flavor on a cold day when your Super Bowl team is not in it. And now
It's just football, Gord.
the last spice that we need to add is some paprika, and that's going to give it some nice color.
Is that Hungarian paprika?
I have no idea. My wife says yes. And these smarty pants in the studio audience are asking all these questions.
Well, I'm sure they researched everything before so they could try and catch you up, Gord.
Yeah, now I would add a little bit more myself. I don't know why, but I just,
A little bit more than what?
So
A little bit more
Hungarian by
paprika.
background then, not Scottish?
I don't know why, but I just,
It's a multicultural
yeah.
dish.
And so as this is all coming together, we have our oven set for 400 and we're going to cook it for 18 to 20 minutes. Like with any cooking, it's always kind of variable, so keep an eye on it. But basically what you want to have is a nice brown top, and that'll bring it all together. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your shepherd's pie
Or cottage pie.
or cottage pie. Okay, and through the miracle of television, we're going to pop it
Oh, I
in the oven.
knew he was going to say that.
That's right. Maestro, we'll put it in that very hot oven.
Ouch, it's
Don't
hot.
touch. And we'll be back with the final product and with my grandmother to kind of give her final blessing.
And again, thank you very much, Gord, for showing us that delight.
Very good. And thank you for all your tips, too.
And so, welcome back, Gord. I think it's done.
You think so?
Let's get it out of there and
Pop it
show
out of the
everybody
oven.
what you've done.
All right. There we go.
Before we get going any further, I just must point out the nose.
Yes. That is a Super Bowl nose.
Yeah, we were watching the game,
That's right.
and Gord was picking something up and hit his glasses on the bottom of the counter, and did the number on his nose. But anyway,
No.
that's not going to affect what's going on here. So, Gord, this looks wonderful. You've got it just down perfect. Even the paprika has browned a little bit as well as everything else.
It's
So,
very good. And I think my grandmother would be very proud. She was a huge influence in my life, and if she saw that I had broken my nose, she would have probably got me some ice cream or something like that. But anyways, to Grandma and to all those making
Grandma
traditional
Jane.
meals, shepherd's pie. And you can watch all these episodes and more on wayneskitchen.com. And thanks to Karen and Dawn.
oh, indeed. And so, why don't we just serve them up the
I
first?
think that's a great idea, and I
first
think we
one.
should have Karen and Dawn into the shop.
Get in here, you guys.
Come on, you guys.
And Gord, you're
Well,
going
we're
to.
very pleased to be here and to host this edition of wayneskitchen.com. Thanks so much for coming and sharing with us your recipe, Gordon. Excellent.
Oh, look at that. That came out really well. Look at that.
And then is that? What do you
That's,
think?
That's lovely.
wonderful.
Great. Great.
Okay, and thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye now.
All right.